Dinking Around with Eddie and Webby was not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Hey everybody, welcome to Dinking Around with Eddie and Webby. He's Eddie.
And he's Webby. Tip touch.
That's right. And we are touching tips to kick the show off. And this is Dinking Around with Eddie and Webby. I'm pretty sure I already said that, but I don't even care.
That's right. You want to know why we don't care? Webby, why don't we care? That? You tell everybody why we don't care.
I'll tell you why we don't care, because this is Dinking Around, where things are raw, things are uncensored, things are unscripted. We don't know what's going to happen, and we're just gonna roll with it. Things are gonna just happen how they happen,
or they're gonna happen how we planned it.
Yeah, I feel like we do have something planned for tonight, which is it goes against our original the original thing that we had planned for how Dinking Around would work. But I mean, we don't have a lot planned. We just have like one basic idea, and then we roll with it.
That's right. Joe Leonard says Kyle is getting stitches. I don't know if he's saying that because he knows that for sure, or if he's guessing. But
oh man, yeah. I hope Kyle's okay. I really genuinely don't know. Like I assumed it was fake at first, but then I was like, I don't think this is fake. So hopefully Kyle Yates is doing okay.
Well, I do know that avocado cutting trips to the ER is like a really high percentage of ER visits happen from that.
Oh, I believe it. Like, I'm not kidding. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I got a pretty deep cut as a result of cutting an avocado. That is not a joke. And I, as soon as that happened to him, I cringed a little bit. I could feel his pain because I feel like my wound on my hand has not fully even recovered. And so I definitely feel for him.
Has the wound on your hand recovered from that time you broke the candle in our condo? Like
it's recovered for the most part. There's a scar. Should I show the scar?
Show the scar.
See if it shows up. There you go. It was it was on that finger. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
that is kind of funny that you have a scar on that finger, because I also have a scar on my finger as well. Do you see that? It's shaped like a Nike
I remember that
sign.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember your Nike swoosh scar bruise type thing.
Yeah, that's funny. We both have scars on our middle fingers.
Yeah, I mean we can get away with flipping people off. We can be like, "Hey, you want to see my scar? Check this out."
Right.
Oh, I'm just showing you my scar. No offense.
Right. I got 2 scars. What do you think about that?
Oh, nice. We just lost like half of our viewers because we were flipping everybody off.
Yep. But we love our viewers.
That's right.
What do you want to do during Dinking Around? This is Dinking Around with Eddie and Webby. Like, so many things we can do. We can do all sorts of activities.
Things. Yeah. Well, I finished my second tall boy of Two Hearted, so I need to refill my glass. So I'm going to do that real quick.
I'm switching to John Davison's favorite here, White Claw, Black Cherry. Oh,
nice. So I'm going with something a little lighter than a Two Hearted. I'm going with one of my go-tos, one of my favorites, and that is All Day IPA from Founders.
Similar kind of beer. There's similar hops in both of them. Although Founders calls that an all-day IPA, it definitely drinks more like a pale ale, which is probably more what Two Hearted is classified under, although Bell's does not classify Two Hearted under a specific category. Did you know that?
I did not know that. It's considered, like on the can, it says American IPA, but I feel like that's the only beer I've ever seen that calls it an American IPA.
Yeah. It's an American pale, that's for sure.
But yeah, I love both beers very much. Two Hearted from Bell's, All Day from Founders. Can't go wrong with either one in my book.
All day.
All day.
So I do feel like we brought up something recently, how we wanted to go back and review some of our previous videos or podcasts or things like that. And, we just had episode 64 take place tonight. Like, think about that. Over the last over 2 years now, it's been over 2 years. We've had 64 podcast.
That's
did
crazy,
you ever
man.
think that was going to happen?
No, not a chance. I've said it before. Like I was surprised that we even reached episode 10,
Mm-hmm.
and here we are. We just wrapped up episode 64. I cannot believe it. And the crazy thing is, like, every single episode, like, when I go back and look at what happened, like, and the guests that we had, like, I gotta pinch myself because, I mean, every episode has been pretty epic for one reason or another. And it's just, I can't believe it. I love the fact that we've come this far, and I don't see an end to it anytime soon. I don't know about you.
Oh God, no. No, it's only just beginning. But I think one of the great things that we're doing here, not to toot our own horn a little bit, toot, but what we're doing is we're learning. We do an episode, we get feedback, we learn, we make adjustments, we move on to the next. And it's a constant improvement. It's constantly growing and improving. And that's why if you go back all the way back to episode 1, which took place, do you know the date of when episode 1 was released?
I don't. I can't remember exactly when that was.
It was April 8th, 2018.
Wow. That's almost exactly 2 years ago.
That's right. Just one day after the 2-year anniversary. And we recorded that, like a week before? Because back then it literally took like 10 hours to edit
right
the podcast.
Yeah. And at that time, like, going live was definitely not an option. It sounded like an absolutely horrible idea to even consider. So we pre-recorded it, edited it, and then posted it for the world to see. And I know I was a nervous wreck for that first one, just because that was the first time something that we did was gonna go out there for anybody in the world to see. And I don't know, maybe 3 people watched it. But
I honestly think it has a total of like 180 views total over the 2 years on YouTube. I'm not kidding.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
when we started the show, it was craft beer pickleball technology, but pickleball was still a very small part of it. I was really big into the craft beer part of it. You were really big into the technology part of it. And like I said, pickleball was kind of this side thing. Now we're a pickleball podcast that likes to drink beer and really not talk technology
maybe
at all.
yeah, maybe once or twice a year we'll talk technology, but that's about it. But yeah, at the beginning it was a lot of beer, a lot of technology, and pickleball was pretty much an afterthought. But I mean, we always had pickleball from the beginning, but it was always just like at the very end we would say like, "Hey, did you play pickleball this week?" "Yeah." "What happened?" And then wrap up the show. But yeah, now things have changed drastically. It's mostly pickleball, and I love that fact because, I mean, as everybody knows, both of us are highly addicted, and for understandable reasons. Pickleball is amazing. We love it.
That's right. So one of the things we wanted to do, even though it was unplanned and unscripted totally, we're just figuring this out right now, is we wanted to actually watch our very first podcast we ever put out.
Yes.
And basically commentate on it. So we might stop during it. We might, make some comments, talk about perspectives, maybe reflect on some things, get a little nostalgic about it. We really wanted to do that with you guys. What do you think about that, Webby?
Yeah, I think it'll be super fun. I haven't watched our first episode in well over a year. We did it almost 2 years ago. So yeah, I'd say it's probably been at least a year and a half since I last listened to or watched our very first podcast. So I feel like it's almost going to be new to me again because it's been so long. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested to see how things went down for that first one.
Why don't we go ahead and do it up? What do you say?
Let's do it.
On today's episode, Eddie and Webby prove once and for all how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. This is the Eddie and Webby podcast.
Well, so obviously I want to stop right there. Different intro music.
Right.
But what is something that you already realize is exactly the same?
So, well, the first thing is like starting with on today's episode, Eddie and Webby, and then something random gets mentioned. I'm
Yep.
not sure if anybody that tunes in regularly has ever noticed that, but whatever we say at the very beginning of the show never happens. It never has anything to do with the episode that's coming up. But that's something that we loved from day one. That was something that we thought was hilarious, and so every single episode we have the announcer voice comes on and says something that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're going to talk about during the episode.
Well, and question out there for you guys. Do you think that's my voice? Or do you think that's Webby's voice that we use for the intro? Put it in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I'm curious to see if people know whose voice that is, because it is one of us, but which one is it?
The other thing I've noticed too is you have none of the little, like, you have much less, I don't know what you, like, trinkets behind you back then 2 years ago.
Yeah, much different. So, can you tell? Do you know what that is? So, I've got a ukulele on the wall, and then to the right of it, can you tell what that is? Because I feel like you might not be able to totally tell what that is on the wall.
I feel like it's a bottle cap opener that's also an animal's beehole.
That is correct. Yep, it
Yes.
is a white-tailed deer. It is a white-tailed deer's butthole, and it's also a bottle opener. So you put your bottle into the butthole and crack open your beverage, and then you drink it.
Come on. Are you serious?
Yeah, totally serious. It's not on that part of the wall anymore. It's over. I have a mini fridge over there. It's right next to the mini fridge on the wall over there now.
That's crazy. All right. Well, we've gotten through 12 seconds total, and we've already paused it. So
Right.
let's go on for a little bit longer this time here.
All right. Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Webby, not Eddie.
And I'm Eddie, and today is our first podcast.
Oh, yeah. Podcast numero uno.
Yep. We have really good topics we're going to be talking about today. The first one we're going to be talking about is beer. We actually have a beer that we're going to be doing a tasting of together. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about the flavors of the beer. We're going to be
All right, so I'm going to stop you right there. One thing that really jumps out to me, you can tell you have lost a lot of weight since we did our first episode.
I was going to ask you, how many chins do I have from 2 years ago?
And another thing, like you had your camera angle quite a bit lower than you have now, which is like I feel like a low camera angle also adds a few extra pounds. Like they always say the camera adds how many pounds, but like a low camera angle adds like double that amount of pounds.
Right. It's like how many cameras are on me right there.
But yeah, I mean, thanks to Pickleball, I feel like both of us have lost a noticeable amount of weight.
Yeah, that was probably 20 pounds ago.
talking about the aromas of the beer. We're going to be talking about so many beer-related things. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a beer-tastic, if you will.
Beer-tastic. And then we're going to get into some technology-related things, technology stuff. And then we're going to talk a little bit about pickleball. Webby was recently in a pickleball tournament, and he's going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to ask.
Wow, so already, I if I was listening, I'd be like, next. Like what are we doing? We're talking about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, my face looks a lot rounder there than it does now, I think, anyway.
Yeah, you look
a lot more roundness to the face.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot less of you now and a lot more around you now.
Yeah, that's true. I've got my wall of pop vinyls right there. That entire open section of my wall where I used to have the mini kegs, it's nothing but pop vinyls. I have a pop vinyl addiction. I actually don't have enough room for my pop vinyls right now. Like I need to find empty wall space or something because I have a whole bunch of pop vinyls that are just kind of like collected in a pile right now that I need to find something to do with. But yeah, I do. I feel like I do have a lot too much going on in the background now as opposed to back then. It was a lot more simple back then.
It's all good. All right, let's keep going.
him some questions, and it's going to be a real good time. I really hope at the end of this you think it was a real good goof and a good time.
Yeah, Eddie actually had to talk me into doing this podcast. I've never done a podcast before. I was a little nervous about it. Not sure if I know what to talk about to even justify doing a podcast, but here we are. We're doing it. So I got to pause it there. I love how every time we pause it, it's always like a very awkward look on each of our faces. So that's pretty funny.
Thank you for pausing it right there. That's the best.
Yeah,
the best look
perfect
ever.
time. But yeah, I got to pause it there because absolutely, you were the one that had to talk me into doing a podcast. You wanted to, like, you talked about it probably at least 5 months before we even did our first podcast. You had the idea, and I was just like, oh man, like I love podcasts, but I do not think I am the right kind of person to do a podcast myself. It seemed like a horrible idea. It seems stupid. I figured you would have enough to talk about, but me, I would just be sitting there the whole time, just kind of nodding to whatever you say, and it would just be ridiculous. But after this episode that we're watching right now, I got hooked on it immediately, and I have to admit, you were right. It was a fun idea, and I'm very glad that we did that, and I'm glad you talked me into it.
That's right.
We're doing it. But before we get into it, we do have some extremely exciting news. This happened yesterday. It was quite a big milestone. I'm really proud of it. I feel like Webby and I should feel really proud of what we've accomplished. And do you want to share the news, Webby? I think you should.
All right. In just a few short months, we did it. We've reached 55 subscribers. Yep. I never thought this day would come. This is a dream come true. I really didn't think we would ever reach this milestone. It's pretty incredible, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Have you been on Twitter lately? Because Twitter has been blowing up. So I got to stop it there. So we were joking around about it, but I was genuinely excited that we had 55 subscribers at the time.
No, I totally agree. I remember when we started the channel, I was like, it's, we're just going to put videos. Nobody's going to watch it. It's just going to be funny. We're going to share it with friends and family, and we'll get to like 50. And then we had 55,
right.
And I was like, yes, we made it. We made it. We're at 55 subscribers. We made it. This is all my hopes and dreams have come true.
That's right. And I think we're about to get to our very first Twitter segment ever. And I love the fact that that's something that we've done since day one is the Twitter comments. So I feel like we were on to something right there, right away from episode 1. So let's check out our very first ever Twitter comments segment up about this news.
No, I haven't been on. Please share with me.
As a matter of fact, I'm looking at Twitter right now. We got a message from Oprah Winfrey Willie, and they said, the first 55 subscribers are always the hardest to get. Here's to 55 million more. So that's very nice.
Thank you, Oprah.
Yep,
for that.
Thank you. We got another one from Barack Obama. He says, congrats, fellas. I knew you could do it. That's very nice. I'm glad,
I love the
glad
voice.
somebody thought we could do it. I sure didn't think we could do it, but we did. We got another one here from The Real Donald Trumps. He says, huge news. Probably the biggest moment of 2018. Trust me, I know. That's cool.
This is definitely a huge accomplishment for me. There's many moments in my life that I've been very proud of, and I feel like have been kind of a turning point for me. But really getting 55 subscribers on YouTube kind of tops all of those. I mean, it's probably one of the best moments in my life. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very difficult to think of anything in my life that was better. I mean, the birth of my children was very cool, very nice moments. But I mean, come on, this is 55 subscribers here. How can we top that? I mean, maybe 56 or 57 subscribers or more.
Yeah.
But
who knows?
Yeah, it was amazing, and I couldn't believe it. And thank you to all of our subscribers. Couldn't do it without you.
And we appreciate your guys' support with everything that we do.
So one thing I just realized, like, I feel like the biggest difference, and again, like every single time we pause it, it's like it's always a super awkward moment. But
well, it's always when you're pausing it. You're pausing it on me in a weird face, man.
But like the biggest difference I'm noticing is we're not wearing sunglasses. We can see our eyes, and it looks weird seeing our eyes.
It does. Should we talk about why we wear sunglasses now?
Yeah, might as well. Let's do it.
All right, so this would have been December 2018, so 8 months after this started. It was shortly after we decided we were going to start going live with our podcast, and I had played a tournament at East Naples Community Park that day. It was the Florida State Championships, actually. And I had put on a bunch of sunscreen because it was really sunny that day, and apparently the sunscreen really bothered my eyes. So they got all puffed out and swollen and red and bloodshot. It looked nasty. And we had Ben Johns on the podcast that night. And so, I don't know, Webby, did I bring it up to you? Like, hey, I think I want to wear sunglasses tonight because of my eyes. And it was like, well, do you remember how it went from there?
I do. So, yeah, you were the one that brought it up. But I think it was the episode before that one. I think it was when we had Scott Golden on. Somebody left a comment and said, where are the sunglasses? Because our logo, our Eddie and Webby logo, has us wearing sunglasses. So somebody made the comment, and I think we played a video clip. And during the video clip, I ran and got some sunglasses and put them on. And so I put sunglasses on because of that comment. But then the next episode, I wasn't planning on wearing sunglasses again, but you had mentioned it because of your eyes bothering you so much. And so I was like, well, hey, I mean, the previous episode, I threw sunglasses on because of the comment somebody made because our logo has us with our sunglasses on. And I was like, so why don't we just both put sunglasses on? Because your eyes are bothering you. I wore them for part of the previous episode. So we both put them on, and it pretty much stuck ever since that moment.
Yeah. And now it's kind of, I mean, it would feel weird to do it without them, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely prefer having them for sure, especially because like I've got two computer screens here, and I feel like when we have a guest talking to us, I feel weird with like me not looking kind of like towards the camera or whatever. Like at least with the sunglasses, you can't totally tell that I'm looking at my screen and like looking at my notes. Sometimes I'm messaging people while we're doing the show because sometimes people are contributing like comments or something, or they're going to be about to be on the show. So I give them a heads up like, hey, your segment is about to show, stuff like that. So yeah, it's I definitely don't want to go back to not wearing sunglasses during the show. That's for sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
So now let's get on to our next topic. This is something Eddie and myself are very passionate about. Eddie is a lot more knowledgeable. Is that the right word? Knowledgeable?
It works.
He knows a lot more than I do about the topic. Why don't you tell our viewers what it is?
What we really want to do with this podcast is basically have Webby and I do a joint tasting. And we want to pick beers that obviously, me being in Florida and him being Michigan, we can both have access to. And we want to be able to taste them on the air for you guys to hear about it. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn, toot toot, but I am a BJCP recognized beer judge, which means I've taken some
So, first of all, what a freaking douchebag moment there where it's like, I am a BJCP recognized beer judge. Like, what? Why was that important? I don't know. That seemed a little...
I still don't even know what that means, to be honest. I don't know what BJCP stands for or what it means. And also this whole beer thing, another thing that was totally your idea. I was still like fairly new to the craft beer world. I didn't know what style of beer that I preferred. I didn't know a whole lot about beer. I feel like my taste buds and my acquired taste for craft beer hadn't matured quite yet. So I was like, oh man, like this segment, it's going to suck for me because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Like I like beer, but at that time I was still a fan of Bud Light Platinum. I didn't know what that...
You were like 6 months off of the BLPs, man. Those Bud Light Platinums.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, to me, like Corona was like the most fancy, like thickest beer I drank at the time.
Well, I mean, you can tell by the look on your face right there that you were like, ooh,
right.
I'm gonna be confused.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the beer segment. I don't know what to say here.
And by the way, BJCP stands for Beer Judge Certification Program. Get it right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Testing, both written and an actual real beer tasting, and had that scored
Oh,
and have been given the rank of recognized
Eddie.
beer judge, which there's many ranks above that.
You sound like a
but,
douche.
But I am technically a beer judge. And so I want
Pretty
to
much
be able to...
he's a big deal. He's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, pretty big deal. And so we're going to do a tasting together. We're going to talk about the beer. It's going to be awesome. I'm super excited about it. Do you want to share with everybody, Webby, the beer that we've chosen for today?
Yes, this is a beer. It's a seasonal beer from Michigan. It's a very popular beer. There's a lot of people that absolutely love it. There's a holiday that's based around this beer, but at the same time, there's also a lot of craft beer enthusiasts that hate the beer and have a lot of strong negative opinions on it. And the beer we are talking about today and what we are going to drink is Bell's Oberon.
What?
And yeah,
that's a great point you bring up. There are a lot of craft beer haters out there and craft beer snobs that don't really consider Oberon to be a very craft beer anymore.
Yes, I've heard people refer to it as the Bud Light of the craft beer world.
And I can see why. There's probably a lot of people who are maybe new into craft beer or, are typically Bud Light drinkers that would drink an Oberon. And so I can understand a little bit about that. But you got to respect this beer. I mean, it's been around since 1992. It was originally named a completely different name that had to be changed because it was in conflict with a Mexican brewery. So it's got a lot of history as well. Should we pop some bottles and pour some beers?
Let's do it.
So I gotta wonder, like, if we went back to this in-depth analysis of beer, like, I feel like our beer audience is gone. Like, our audience now is all pickleball, right?
Right.
And then I'm sure there are some pickleball players who maybe are like, oh, I'll tune in because I also like beer. But if we went back to this, I think we would lose so many people.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. And there are definitely pickleball players that do enjoy craft beer, and they love the fact that we bring it up during the show. But I feel like the way that we do it now is a lot better than back then, because now, like, we'll talk about what we're drinking and talk about what we like about it, but we just don't go super in depth about it. And so people appreciate that we appreciate a good, tasty local craft beer from time to time. But yeah, back then we spent a lot of time about the talking about the aroma, the flavor, everything, the mouthfeel.
I do miss it. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I'm still very passionate about craft beer, and I would love to do that, but I don't.
Yeah, and I do like it. Like, I had fun with it. Like, I learned a lot about craft beer because of doing that during the podcast, and I do also miss it from time to time. But I also feel like the audience wasn't a huge fan, and I feel like our audience right now just dropped a whole bunch.
Yep, that's right. We're moving on.
All right.
And for anybody that is paying attention to the details of the video, the background of my video, I do have a couple mini kegs of Oberon from past years. One of them is from 2012. One of them is from 2017. And I told myself I wasn't going to get any more because I only got those two just because I like how they look and I wanted to collect them. But I got to admit, this year's design looks really nice. And if you look right there, that's what this year's design looks like. And I've got to admit, I like it a lot, and I think I'm going to pick one up just because I'm a sucker for great branding, and I really like the look of this year's mini keg. And that is very true. I am a sucker for branding. But I never did end up getting that mini keg. I never did get it. I got some of that year's Oberon, like a 6-pack, but I did not get the mini keg. But since that time, I acquired a mini keg of Hop Slam, and I got a mini keg of Two Hearted, and I love both of those beers, and those are both great additions to my collection. So right now I have 4 mini kegs in my collection. The 2 that you saw in that video of the Oberon, and then the Hop Slam and the Two Hearted. Little fun fact.
Nice.
Yeah, Bell's has always done a really good job with this beer when it comes to branding. A little brief history on the beer and on the brewery before we get into the tasting part of it. So Oberon has been brewed by Bell's Brewery since 1992, As I mentioned before, it was originally called Soul Sun when it first came out. And
Why am I fidgeting? What's happening there? Do I do
Yeah,
that a lot?
I've never really noticed that, but yeah, you definitely you cannot not stand still, not sit still. You're moving all around.
Weird.
1992. However, in 1997, the Mexican brewery that makes Sol, S-O-L, which is Spanish for the sun, they actually asked Bell's to change the name, which was then changed to Oberon. Bell's Brewery was started in 1985 by Larry Bell in Kalamazoo, Michigan. However, in 2003, they opened up a facility in Comstock, Michigan, which is where they do, if not all of their brewing, the vast majority of it.
So I got to ask you a question. Did you have a teleprompter, or what was it that you were looking at? Because I noticed you were constantly looking up and to the right a little bit. What were you looking at?
I had notes on my computer monitor.
Oh, okay, and it was like up and to the right of you. Like it looked like teleprompter style. Like you were like, I feel like if you're looking at a computer screen, you'd be looking kind of like straight ahead or a little bit to the right. But you were
camera
like
was
looking
so
up
low.
and to the right.
The camera was like here. Because I had it on a little
gotcha.
stupid tripod at the beginning. I don't know why. It just because I didn't know yet. I didn't know. We had just started the YouTube channel a few months before, so I just got into video. Right. I didn't really know what to do. Now I know to have it at eye level and all that other good shit you got to do with it.
Gotcha.
Do still have the Eccentric Cafe in Kalamazoo, which is where their old brewery used to be, which is a restaurant and tap room, which is awesome. Both Webby and I have been there. And Bell's has a full lineup of other beers. A lot of them I'm sure you're very familiar with. My personal favorite from them, and probably one of my all-time favorite beers, is Two Hearted from Bell's.
Yes.
So real quick, here's what's crazy. Bell's Two Hearted is still probably my top 10 beers, but at that point it was probably my top 2 or 3. But since then, especially getting into the Florida beers, it's changed. It's dropped a little bit. Still in my top 10, but I don't think it's in my top 5 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's still in my top 5, but it's not like it used to be number 1 for sure. Like I used to love it. Like it was like my go-to for anything. Like if I didn't know what I wanted, Two Hearted was the one to go for. I still love it. In fact, I drank it tonight during episode 64. But there's been a lot of beers I've tasted throughout the last year and a half that I would put above Two Hearted. But yeah, you still can't go wrong with Two Hearted.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I love that one. That's definitely at the top of towards the top of my list of favorite beers as well.
Pretty much said the same thing.
It's pretty good. So I actually have a little bit of a personal experience with Bell's Brewery. I did go to college at Western Michigan University, which is in Kalamazoo, and which was really cool when, a lot of other college kids are starting to drink at 21, of course, right? When they turn 21 and they have their first beer, Bud Light, your Busch Light, Coors Light, which I'm guilty of. I definitely partook in that. But being so close to Bell's Brewery and some other really good places in Kalamazoo, I was exposed to a lot of craft beer early on. And in fact, one of my roommates, his graduation party that we threw at a house that we were living in together, we actually had a keg of Oberon. So this beer definitely goes back in my past, almost 20 years at this point, which is really cool.
Nice. Great story. Great information. What do you say we drink the beer?
Why don't we just drink it then?
Cheers.
Cheers. Very tasty. If you go like this, you get even more flavor.
So one of the things I always thought was funny was what I started to do some research at this time around podcasts and audio, because I didn't know anything about audio production at all. My knowledge of audio production here was like kindergarten level. And I still feel like I'm like at like maybe 5th grade. But anyway, I remember they said in there during a podcast, you don't want to have a lot of mouth sounds. Like mouth sounds they deter people. They turn people off. And I feel like with you and I, we're like, forget about that. Let's just do mouth sounds. Who cares?
Yeah.
Nobody really cares. Let's just do it anyway.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'm about to do the gargle, which was my thing for quite a while. The gargle.
Let's see. Let's see what happens here.
In the tongue, in the back of the tongue. Why don't we first jump into the aroma? It's always typically one of the first things you want when doing a beer tasting. You got to get your nose in there real good, warm it up a little bit, move it around. Is there anything in particular, Webby, that you are getting from this beer?
By the way, before you answer that, if you notice the same... Oh, actually, it's a different glass. Sorry, I have my Fort Myers Brewing Company glass. I thought I had that here, but I still have that pint glass. I drink out of it all the time.
Oh, nice.
Here.
Smells a little bit like Oberon to me. Has a very Oberon-ish scent to it. What a douchebag
What do you
answer.
think?
What would you say about it?
This is technically an American wheat beer, which it's BJCP category 6D, which is American wheat or rye beer, which means you're going to have kind of a lower, moderate, grainy wheat kind of taste.
I'm really glad you talked about the BJCP category because I'm sure that's what everybody cared about at the time.
Yeah, when we first started off, I really thought that like our podcast, we were going to get a lot of beer nerds and home brewers and stuff like that. Watching it, which didn't happen. Never happened.
To it. You will get a little bit of sweetness, a very light malty sweetness in the aroma, but nothing should be too overpowering. You definitely don't want to get a Hefeweizen type of smell like a banana-y clovey. It's just going to be a very mild aroma to it, but very pleasant as well.
Yeah, and it is tasting very good to me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge Oberon fan. I like it a lot, but I don't love it. I've never really loved the beer, and I have to be in the right mood. Like I definitely prefer it on a nice, hot, sunny day. It tastes very good and refreshing. Today it's tasting very good to me as well, but I definitely like the beer. I just have never been one that absolutely loves it.
Do you still feel that same way?
I do feel the same way. I do also feel that like this year's batch, I really enjoyed a lot, like more than usual. I don't know if I can explain why, but I do feel like each year I have a different opinion. Like, so some years I love it. Some years I'm like, this isn't so great. But this year, when I drank the 6-pack that I bought, I liked it a lot, and I definitely could see myself buying more of it. So I don't know. I feel like it depends on the mood I'm in, I guess. I don't know. I've learned that I'm not a huge fan of wheat beers in general, but Oberon is one that I do enjoy. So I don't know. It just depends on the mood I'm in, I guess.
It's a good frame I freezed on there, by the way.
Yeah, like how is that? Every single time we pause it, it's always a super unflattering, weird image, no matter what. It doesn't matter which one of us is on screen.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter which one of us is on screen.
I'll get a good one of you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to it. It's a very clean, very easy drinking beer, but nothing too overpowering with it. It's definitely an appropriate appearance for an American wheat beer. It has a little bit of yellowy gold to it. Now, I do have to say that I have quite a bit of sediment in my beer, and that's not... I haven't experienced that with Oberon in the past. It's been a little cloudy, but I don't know if you can see in my camera, but I'm getting a lot of sediment in there, a lot of floaters. So, getting the beer from Michigan all the way down to Florida, who knows what kind of conditions it's in. Maybe it was really hot. Maybe I don't really know, but it's definitely got some floaters going on in there.
Yeah, I held up mine to the camera as well. Mine does too. Last year's had quite a bit too. I noticed it last year. I drank the first couple right out of the bottle. The third one that I had last year, I poured out, and I was surprised at how much was floating around in there.
It's good though. It's got a good flavor to it. Typically with an American wheat beer like this, you're gonna have a little bit of that wheat flavor, which is kind of it's hard to describe a wheat beer without saying it tastes like a wheat beer. But you really have to try a wheat beer to really get an understanding of what the flavor is like. One thing I like about this beer is it does have, although it doesn't have much hoppiness to it or hop spiciness, there is some sort of spice that comes through in it. And it's hard to say exactly where that comes from. It could be from the grains that they use, but it does have a little spicy character, which I appreciate.
It does, and I do like it. And like I was saying before, I really like it on a nice hot day when I'm outside, maybe doing stuff in the yard. But it's not one that I would typically buy just to drink while hanging around in the house.
I agree with you. Now, from a mouthfeel perspective, typically American wheat beers have a medium high to high carbonation level.
Yeah, because people really care about that. Like people are like, oh, what's the mouthfeel going to be like? Eddie,
Right?
will you please tell us? We've been dying to know. What's your take on the mouthfeel of this beer?
Right? Yeah, I was dying to know. One thing that I noticed, or that I wanted to point out, is I feel like back then, a lot of the local or the smaller craft breweries didn't do canning as much, but now canning is a lot more popular. And back then, I was under the mindset like, oh, it's got to be in a glass bottle. If it's not in a glass bottle, it just does not taste as good. But I am definitely in a different mindset now. Like I've learned to appreciate beers that are canned, because I think you told me this before. Like like when the sunlight getting through the bottle can affect the beer, depending on the environment that it's in and stuff like that, and that it lasts longer when it's canned versus being bottled. And so I'm currently, like, I definitely appreciate a canned beer over a bottled beer, as opposed to how I felt back then.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it preserves it for much longer because the bottle will allow some light penetration, some oxygen. The can holds it for much longer. You could have a can from 10 years ago and open it, and it's going to have very little oxidation or any sun exposure.
Yeah.
So you're typically going to get
changed.
a lot of carbonation in these beers. And I have to say, again, I don't know what the conditions are when it was transported from Michigan to Florida.
Transported, by the way, is what I said.
But mine has very little carbonation to it. I don't know how yours is.
I'd say moderate carbonation.
Okay.
Not really sure what I should be looking for, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just kind of the bubbly. Like, think about if you're taking a drink of like a soda pop, how there's so much carbonation that you're trying to get down. This one
definitely
feels...
nothing near the carbonation of a soda pop. A soda pop.
Sody pop.
Soda Popinski, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
Idiot.
Overall impressions, Webby, what do you want to share about this?
I would say it's tasting pretty good to me today. I've heard people say that they don't think it's as good as last year's batch or the year before. I don't remember. I think it's tasting good. It's definitely not my favorite of the Bell's offerings, but I do enjoy it still.
Yeah.
So we got a question from Sean Rodrigo. Have you guys tried Longboard beer?
Mm-hmm. It's from Kona, right? Kona Brewing Company?
That I'm not sure of. I'm not familiar with. But speaking of Longboard, there is a Longboard restaurant in Dearborn, and it's owned by Jolly Pumpkin. So they sell all of, or most of, Jolly Pumpkin's beers, and they have them all on tap. And it's very good. It's the closest Jolly Pumpkin related place to me, and I'm a fan just because as we've talked about numerous times, Jolly Pumpkin is something I absolutely love. They have nailed the sour beer genre, if you will. So that's definitely a good place to go.
Yeah, I love me some Jolly Pumpkin. But Sean, if you're talking about Longboard from Kona, I have had it. It's good. It's a good, nice, crisp lager. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, if I buy Oberon, it tends to sit in my refrigerator for quite a long time. I think if it's a hot sunny day, I'm gonna go for something more like, a Founders All Day IPA, something with a little bit more hop flavor to it, versus an Oberon. Although I do think it's a good beer. I do think it might be a little bit overrated, and it's probably because of their branding. But overall, I think it's a pretty solid beer.
Yeah, I would agree.
Nice.
I would agree with that. So should we chug the rest or just sip it slowly?
We should definitely slam the crap out of it.
So did we plan this, or was this all while we were Skyping with each other and recording separately?
I think it might have been kind of while we were doing it, it kind of got brought up. I don't think we planned. Yeah, I don't think we planned that ahead of time, the whole chugging thing.
When did we stop chugging? Because we still chugged when we were live, didn't we?
Yeah, we still did some live chugs. I feel like it stopped when we stopped doing the in-depth reviews. It was when we did every time we did an in-depth review, we always asked you, so are we going to chug? Because I think we had a couple times where we let our live guest decide if we were going to chug. But yeah, it's been a long time since we did a chug. In fact, I think it might have been last year's end of the year recap episode that we did a chug.
How much do you have left in your glass?
I actually just poured a brand new glass, so now would not be the greatest of time to
chug down to the bottom, because I have about half of mine. Chug down to the bottom of the pint glass on the Beer City Open glass. What do you say?
Oh, chug! You said chug. So chug down to the bottom of the logo.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
You want to do it?
All right. Yeah. So for old time's sakes, let's go ahead and do a little chug action.
But don't you used to do something here? Should we watch it first
I did.
and then do it? Actually,
Yeah,
why don't we do it while we're watching it?
All right, go ahead.
Should we try though? Should we really try?
Oh man, I don't know.
I already feel
I feel like craft beer typically isn't the greatest for chugging.
and I do feel like I got a bubble stuck right here already. But let's see let's give it a try.
A bubble
Mm.
stuck.
Yeah.
All right.
You do the countdown.
Ziggy zuggy, ziggy zuggy, oi oi oi. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I made it right exactly.
Oh man,
That's pretty good. What? So
Made it exactly to the bottom of the Bell's logo.
So you did not put your hand over the glass like you used to in episode 1. That must have came later.
So I think so that whole thing. Do you remember what that came from? Do you know where I got that whole idea from to do the ziggy zuggy oi 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 thing?
From the Man Show, right?
Yep, that's exactly where it came from. So I think this happened we didn't really plan this. It just happened, and I was like, oh, we're about to chug. Okay, I'm going to do the Man Show ziggy zuggy thing, and I think after this episode, I went back and watched an episode of the Man Show on YouTube or something, or a clip of the ziggy zuggy thing, and I noticed that they always did they put a hand over the beer before doing it. So I feel like from this episode on, after this episode, I did the legit hand over the beer thing like they did.
Okay. I'm gonna hit play, but then I gotta go run away real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Feel free to pause and talk though, okay?
Will do.
Wow. Well, that just happened, guys. You saw it first on Eddie and Webby chugging some Oberon.
That's actually my first time ever chugging an Oberon.
Whew. Oh man,
Might be my last.
might.
But you never know. You just never know.
You never know. That was good though.
Yeah, I did like it.
Yeah. And guys, let us know in the comments if there is a beer out there that you would really like us to review. Maybe something obscure, something that you're just really looking for an honest opinion on. Let us know, and we are.
So, to be honest, the whole chugging a beer thing, I feel like craft beer is not meant to be chugged. Craft beer, it's made so well, has such great flavor. It's a good thing to savor. You want to drink it nice and slow. It's not meant to be chugged. So I feel like whenever we chugged a craft beer during the show, that was not a great idea. But we thought it was fun. We thought it was funny, so we did it a lot. But in the real world, it does craft beer injustice to chug it, because craft beer is meant to be enjoyed nice and slow. So I got to get that out there. I don't recommend ever chugging a craft beer.
Happy to give you our opinion. Honestly, when it comes to beer tasting, though, even when you get really high professional level people, it all comes down to personal preference. We can tell you our opinion and what we think about it, but it's all personal preference.
Oh, for show. Faux show.
All right, so what are we going to do next? I heard that dead air is not good on a podcast, so...
it's not good?
Yeah.
Okay. So we should not have dead air.
No, I heard the opposite of that is good.
So, unfortunately, we didn't learn that lesson about the whole dead air thing. But that mainly came into play once we started doing them live. It's a little hard to avoid dead air during a live podcast, because you never know exactly when the guest is going to start talking or when they're done talking. So do you agree, Eddie, that like during a live podcast is a lot harder to avoid the whole dead air thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it comes up all the time, and then especially because there's latency, right? Because we're talking online, which means by the time our audio and video all connect, you could be talking about the matter of a second, and that can cause a lot of like stepping over each other, and it gets a little confusing sometimes.
Right. And that's actually the big reason why we ended up deciding like only one of us would do the main interview portion when we have a guest, and the other person would focus on social media comments, because when both of us were on the screen and our guest, we constantly were talking over each other or talking over the guest, and we had like extra uh dead air moments and stuff like that. So if anybody has like paid close attention, it's rare when we have a guest that both of us are on the screen and asking questions at the same time, because we determined that it definitely makes a lot more sense to have one of us focus on the interview, the other focus on social media comments, and I think that has definitely made it a lot smoother when it comes to the live podcasts that we do these days.
Agreed.
And I feel like now I'm going to step away for a second. I just want to check something. There's something going on over there that I want to check out real quick. So I'll be back real soon. Okay. I will keep that in mind for next time. But how about we talk about some technology?
I think that would be good. You have a product you want to share with us, don't you?
Yes. I actually recently did a video on how to use this product with the Nintendo Switch. It is the 8BitDo wireless adapter.
Which, by the way, that video is still our top video on our YouTube channel, which I think is hilarious because now we've become pretty much a pickleball YouTube channel, and our top video is basically what Webby is going to talk about, doing a demonstration of it, and it has nothing to do with pickleball and everything to do with technology and video games.
And what it does is it lets you use controllers from the 8BitDo company. They make a big lineup of controllers. A lot of them are very retro looking, and it lets you use any of those controllers on the Nintendo Switch, on a PC, on a Mac, and the Raspberry Pi. But the main reason I bought the adapter was because I heard that it lets you use a PlayStation 4 controller on the Nintendo Switch. I thought that was a very cool thing to try. So I bought one, tried it, and I absolutely loved it. And it works really good. There were a couple things that were hard to figure out. That's the main reason I did the video in the first place, to show how to pair it with the PlayStation 4 controller on the Switch. But I love it. And I really love what the company is doing. They have a whole bunch of controllers that look like old school Nintendo controllers, Super Nintendo controllers, but they make them to where there's extra buttons and stuff to where you can use it on modern platforms or PC, Mac, things like that. But I'm a big fan of that company, and I really like that adapter a lot too.
You brought up a minute ago about how you made a video on the 8BitDo thing, and I was like, that's still the top video on our channel.
Yeah, we still get new comments. And
we got one
people,
today.
Yeah, like I still can't believe how much that video took off, and that is the like number one video on our channel. I still can't believe it.
It's crazy. Yeah, but I just thought it was funny. You brought that up, and I was like, this was 2 years ago, and that video is still the number one video.
Yeah, so I actually have a controller from them that looks like an old NES controller with some additional buttons on it. That's wireless, and that I actually have hooked up to my Raspberry Pi to play some retro games on it. I think it's fantastic, but I really don't know much about the company. Do you know anything more about them? Like, is their focus on really making a lot of these retro style gaming controllers and accessories for them?
That seems to be their main primary focus. And another thing you mentioned, old school and wireless, that makes me think of another thing that they do. They make things to where you can play the old school Nintendo and Super Nintendo with wireless controllers. They have an adapter. It plugs into the controller port of the Nintendo, and it makes it to where it then will transmit a wireless signal to one of their controllers that they make, so you can play them wirelessly on the old school systems, on the old school consoles. So it's pretty awesome what they're doing.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure that we'll be doing a lot of other reviews on 8BitDo products. We would love to.
Nope, we never did.
Yep,
Never did
never
one
did.
other. I remember I reached out to the 8BitDo company. I sent I found 8BitDo on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, we did this review of your product. Would you be interested in having the president of your company be on our podcast, or give us like free products so we could review them for future videos?" And they actually responded.
Oh, did they?
But they responded at first, and they were chatting with me a little bit, and then all of a sudden they just ghosted me and never sent anything whatsoever after that. But yeah, that was the last of the 8BitDo reviews we ever did. But I really do like that product though. Like I still actively use the 8BitDo. It's nice being able to use my PlayStation 4 controller on my Nintendo Switch. It's a very cool thing.
Do them. So if you're listening, 8BitDo, we would love to do a lot more reviews of your products. And, we're definitely dedicated to doing more reviews of your products. So if you're listening, we're interested in doing reviews of your products. Okay.
You know what I would think would be cool is to review some more of the 8BitDo products.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. So what I don't get, like, we had 55 subscribers. Why didn't they want to jump on us offering to review their products on our channel?
Seriously, that's crazy. I don't get it.
Yep. So
I'm surprised you didn't think of that. But.
Yeah. Maybe we should do more review of 8BitDo products. Cool.
What about you? Do you have any technology news or products you want to talk about?
I do. So I've recently gotten pretty much obsessed with cameras. It's kind of been my thing. And I really want to talk about a new product that Sony is launching. So before I begin, I'm a little bit of a Canon fanboy. I love Canon cameras. I love how they look. I love the color science behind them and the skin tones you get with almost every Canon product. I do love the quality that you can get from Canon. They are pretty good. But when it comes to coming out with a lot of new features and affordable prices, I feel like they're getting their butts kicked by Sony. And there's one product in particular that I honestly believe is going to kind of revolutionize the whole camera industry, and that is the Sony a7 III.
Which I'm recording on right now. 2 years ago.
Nice.
I ordered the camera. 2 days after this podcast launched, I was in Detroit, and I picked it up for the first time. Do you remember when I used it for the first time?
I do.
We were together, and I still have it, and it's still by far my most favorite camera ever. I love it. I sleep in bed with it. I cuddle with it. It's beautiful, and I have a brand new Sony, not brand new, but I have a Sony 18 millimeter f1.8 lens on it, and it's just beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Or Sony a7 Mark III, whichever you want to call it. I'm going to call it today the Sony a7 III. And if you guys haven't heard about this camera, it's pretty awesome. A couple specs on it. It has a 24 megapixel full frame sensor. So this is a full frame camera we're talking about. Has 693 autofocus points. For video, it can shoot 4K, 30 frames per second, and in 1080, it can do 120 frames per second. So it's going to give you that real buttery slow motion that we all want in some of our cinematic pieces.
I love the buttery slow motion.
Me too.
The butterier, the better.
Yep. Yeah, the more butter, the better.
The more butterier, the better.
Yes. It does record an S-Log color profile, which is good. It gives you a lot more that you can do in post-production with doing color correction. It has dual SD card slots, which is awesome. One of them is a UHS 1, while the other one is UHS 2. If there's any criticism I have of the camera, it's probably that they didn't just make 2 UHS 2 compatible slots. Oh, man. So I would have loved it if they would have made 2 UHS 2 compatible slots. But it's great. You have 2 slots now for redundancy if you always want to have a backup going, or for double the space of the cards that you have, which is awesome.
So I always loved that we used to talk about technology, but looking back at this episode is probably a good thing that we stopped talking about technology so much, because listening to this, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Get on with it
I'm a
already.
fall.
Move on to the
Yeah.
next topic. When's the pickleball discussion going to happen?
I agree.
And all these features are great, alone. For you to be able to get the comparable Canon camera that can do some of this stuff when it comes to video, you're talking about the 1DX Mark II. That's a $6,000 camera. So the Sony a7 III coming in at just $2,000 is going to blow every other camera out of the market, in my opinion.
And it did.
Who's going to use this camera? I think.
So 2 years later, this camera has dropped $100 in price. That's it. It's still one of the most highest demanded cameras for the YouTubers that want cinematic footage.
Well, yeah, I recently I started I wanted to get a cinematic looking camera, and I looked into that one, and it was a little more expensive than I wanted to. I didn't want to spend quite that much money, so I got the A6400, which I'm super happy with. But yeah, that one is still a lot pricier than I really wanted to deal with it this time. So that's a testament to how good that camera is.
Tomorrow will be the 2-year anniversary of it coming out.
Nice. Could use this camera, right? I'm envisioning myself hiring a photographer or even a videographer to be able to come and maybe shoot a party, even do a wedding. I don't think if they showed up with that camera, I would feel like they were not professional by any means. I think I would trust totally in the quality that this camera would be able to provide.
Nice.
Yes.
There's the workaholics.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
There's proof that that I was hooked on using the word nice because of workaholics.
That's right.
The other thing I think is great is, Sony's not afraid to say screw you to the people that bought their A9 or the A7R3, because this camera has almost the same amount of features as those cameras do. And from a video perspective, in my opinion, even beats the A7R3 while saving thousands of dollars. It's cool. A lot of other companies say, no, 4K is only for that one camera, so we're not going to put it in our new camera. And it kind of screws over the consumer a little bit. Sony's not afraid to do that, which is pretty awesome. So super excited about it. It does come April 10th. I have it on pre-order right now. I'm not part of the elite few that have gotten.
I still remember the date. That's how impactful this camera delivery was for me, because I still remember the date. And I remember I was flying to Detroit on April 10th. I had it shipped to work. I had one of my wife's coworkers grab it and hide it in their desk. And when we landed, we took the Metro car downtown. We went and grabbed it and went to the hotel. That's how much I wanted this camera on the day that it was released.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Them sent to them to do reviews on. I have to wait for it to come to me. It's coming April 10th, and I don't know. Webby and I might actually be hanging out the next day, so we might be able to put it to use and be together when we actually get our first hands on it, which is pretty awesome.
Nice. And if any of you have any suggestions of what we should do to test the camera out, go ahead and pop them in the comment section below.
By the way, nobody did.
No, we got no comments whatsoever. But what video did we do when you had that camera? Do you remember? Or did we do a video? I know we hung out, but did we do a video? Was that when we did the
indoor
pop? Was it the pop off world or not that one?
No, that was freezing. Wasn't that like January or February?
Yeah, it was really cold.
Was this when we went and played pickleball indoors in that racquetball court?
Oh, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was our first time ever playing pickleball. It was supposed to be the first ever Eddie versus Webby match, but we went to an indoor racquetball court, and it was horrible. Yeah, like they had this big sign out front, and it had pickleball on it. So I was like, oh, man, this is going to be nice. You can actually rent out pickleball court time. So I called them. I was like, I want to rent out 2 hours worth of pickleball time. This is going to be, like, I told Eddie, this is going to be top of the line. This is going to be amazing. We go there, and it's a friggin' racquetball court with a pickleball net set up. So, like, think of a regular pickleball court, and where the out-of-bounds lines are is wall. Like, there's a wall there. So there's no chance of ATP. If somebody serves the ball to the baseline, you're totally screwed because like your hand and arm is going to hit the wall right behind you. It was horrible.
It was bad.
Real bad.
Yeah.
We just might do it. You never know.
You never know.
Only one way to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So actually on that topic, Webby, I was thinking about maybe trying to do a fan meetup next time we're together. See if we want to invite fans to come hang out because we have 55 followers now. You never know, man. We could have 52 people showing up at
Well, I don't know if I was I'm pretty sure I was joking, but it sounds so douchey, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believed you. Like, I thought you were serious, that you thought, like, oh, we're going to, like, there's going to be people. We have a YouTube channel. We have a podcast. People are going to want to meet us. We have 55 subscribers. Damn, people are going to want to hang out with us hardcore.
Yeah, it was crazy.
wherever we're going to be next.
Speaking of showing up, my cat Jack just decided to make a little.
Oh, Jack showed up in the very first episode.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Nice. So back then, I used to sit on the couch that was behind me. Like right now, I'm sitting on a chair in front of the couch. The cats used to get a lot more involved when I sat on the couch, but it got annoying because my other cat, Zelda, when I was on the couch, she would always like try to chew on the microphone cord. She would chew on the mic itself. So once I started sitting on a separate chair in front of the couch, the cats didn't get involved quite as much. Jack will still get involved. In fact, he'll jump on my lap and sometimes jump on the table where I have the laptops and get in front of the camera. But Zelda, she hasn't gotten involved at all ever since I stopped sitting on the couch like I used to.
Come on, Zelda.
Little appearance here. He's going to join me for maybe the rest of the podcast.
Oh, there's Zelda
Jack.
there.
Come here, Jack.
Over your head.
Here, boy.
Hey. Chop, 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 chop. Here, Jackie Jack. You know, it's funny. I actually hear my dog banging her head against my door right now, trying to get in because she thinks I'm calling her.
Nice.
She does that too. She'll like if she wants to come in, and I have French doors in my office, and if I lock one of them, if I unlock the one, she'll just push and it'll break both doors open. But if I lock the one, she'll butt her head into it like over and over again. It's crazy.
So, what is our next topic of the day?
Well, since you are now obsessed with pickleball and are kind of becoming the pickleball master out of
here we go.
Why don't you share with us your first pickleball tournament experience?
Yes, the pickleball tournament experience. It was pretty awesome. Not gonna lie, it was a great time. I was extremely nervous leading up to it because I didn't think I had enough experience. I thought I was getting in over my head, and I had a lot of butterflies in the old stomach the morning of the event. But once I got there, it was totally fine, and it was a lot of fun. I ended up placing 13th out of 16 in the division I was in. So not great, but at least I didn't come in last. And I feel like a lot of my games were very close. Most of the games that I lost were only by like 1 or 2 points. I did have one shutout loss that was very heartbreaking. Boo. And there's I still have a lot to learn, but I can tell that I've gotten a lot better since I first started. I learned how to play less than a year ago. It was last summer. A few of my friends and we went and played at an outdoor court near where I live. And after that first day, I just knew right away, this is a game that I love. I became addicted immediately. And I set a goal for myself right away to try to do a tournament this year. So I did that. I got that first tournament out of the way. It didn't go great, but I had a great time. And I've actually signed up for my next tournament, which is going to be in July. It's going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And from what I hear, it's going to be a lot tougher than the one that I've already done. So I've got my work cut out for me. I got to get better. But I've played a good amount since the tournament that I played. So the tournament I was talking about in July, that was the Beer City Open in Grand Rapids. The tournament that changed our lives. That was literally that tournament changed our lives. And it's funny because at that point in time, I had signed up for it. You were not signed up for it yet. I was like, I'm going to do this tournament, whether you're part of it or not. Hopefully you can join me. And luckily it worked out to where you were able to join me.
Yeah. So here's what's even crazier. It was only a few weeks after this that we decided we were going to do that trip to spend a month up there that summer. And I was going to be part of the Beer City Open, which completely changed our lives forever. You nailed it. What else is crazy is we had that exact same place that we stayed at there in Grand Rapids reserved for this upcoming May for 3 weeks. And we had to just cancel it last week because of all the coronavirus stuff. We were going to stay in the exact same place again.
Yep, and I took a day off work so I could go up there to do a Friday Night Lights there in Grand Rapids at Belknap Park. Oh, man, I was looking so forward to that.
Yep.
This effing coronavirus thing, man, it's screwing everything up.
Screwing everything. Everything. Who's going to hit play? Are you? There you go.
A couple months ago, and it is... I've noticeably gotten better. I'll say that. I can tell that I've gotten better. So I just need to keep that up, and hopefully I will have what it takes to place somewhat decently in the tournament in July. And I'm hoping that Eddie here can be my partner.
We'll see. I don't know that you want me in your team, though, man. It sounds like you're actually doing pretty good without me. But I do have some questions about the tournament, if you don't mind me asking you.
Yeah. Go for it.
So you talked about the divisions, right? So how do you know which division you should sign up for?
So I had no idea because I've never been ranked. Apparently, if you do an official USAPA tournament, you get ranked beforehand so they know which division to put you in. And the rankings are 2.5, I believe, is where they start, and they go up to 5. Like the absolute best players are a 5. And I figured I was probably like maybe a 3, maybe 3.5, pushing 3.5. No, definitely not. Definitely not 3.5. Absolutely not. I did not know what I was talking about at that time when it comes to ranking. Like I was 2.5 at best at this point in time when we recorded this podcast.
That cracks my shit up, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I can't believe I said I was 3.5 or pushing 3.5. No. So,
funny.
I signed up. I thought I was in the 3.5 division when I got there, but it turns out I was in the 3.0 division. So there was one division below what I was in, and when I first got there, I thought maybe I should have done the beginner division since it was my first tournament ever. But I was able to keep up with the people in the 3.0 division that I was in.
Nice.
And pretty much it depends on like how many mistakes you make. Like if you don't make mistakes when you serve, then you go up to like the next level and stuff like that. And if you can dink properly, if you can lob without it going out of bounds regularly, things like that. There's a whole checklist. If you go to the USAPA website, they have a checklist on what it takes to be in each of the different divisions. So
wow, that was like the precursor to you becoming an ambassador. Talking about the USAPA and the checklist and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, at that point in time, like the USAPA, like that was like the almighty, the all-knowing, whatever the USAPA says. Like, if you can meet their standards, then you're good, man. So I feel like it's pretty simple to be able to tell which division you're in yourself by looking at that list. But you can also have somebody from the USAPA rank you, so you have an official ranking.
So retrospectively, you would have preferred to be in a different ranking. Is that what I understand?
So I thought the lowest was the 3.0, and I thought I was in the 3.5. So when I thought that was the case, I thought I should have been in the one below. But the fact that they were 2.5 and I was in 3.0, I feel like that's about right. There were people in the 2.5 division that I know definitely should have been in a division or possibly even 2 divisions higher. I feel like they were. Yeah, so that's when I learned about sandbagging because people that were definitely better than me were playing in the division below what I was playing in. So I was like, wait, what? You're the one. You're giving me tips. You're coaching me on how to play, and you're playing in the division lower than I'm playing in right now. What's going on right here? So
Crazy.
like looking back, like yeah, maybe I should have been the division lower than me, but like I definitely held my own in the division I was in. So I definitely didn't feel out of place. I feel like that's kind of like how I am now. I'm doing the 4.0 tournaments now. Maybe I don't totally belong in 4.0, but I don't feel out of place. So as long as I don't feel out of place, I'm going to keep going with 4.0. I'm not going to go back to 3.5 just because that's technically where I should be because of my ranking. Like if I can hold my own, even if I'm not winning every time, if I feel like I can hold my own, like I'm going to stick with 4.0. And at that time, like 3.0 seemed like the right place for me instead of 2.5. Just trying to go for a medal. They knew they could beat the people in that division. So there were definitely some people that played in a division below what they should have.
Losers.
I feel like I was in the proper division. I just didn't do as good as I had hoped I would.
You know, that's unfortunate though. I mean, you want to get your ranking so that you make sure that you're evenly matched. It should be competitive, and then people are going to try and sandbag their actual, rankings. That part kind of sucks.
Yeah, that was kind of weird to me, and I didn't really like that. But oh well, I guess that's pretty common. Somebody was telling me that a lot of people play in the division below what they really are. But yeah, to me, that doesn't seem right. I would prefer playing in the division that I belong in.
So talk to me about how many games or matches did you play throughout the entire tournament?
So the tournament that I did was called a round robin tournament. So that means that you don't have a set.
Oh no, I screwed up. Sorry. It's called a round robin tournament. I like that. It's like, this one was called a round. Like now we would be like, yeah, it was a round robin. But back then it was like. So here's what happens. It's like a round robin where they.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Well, at that time, I had no idea what the hell a round robin meant.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is what you would call a round robin. And let me tell you what that means.
Right.
But
that's so funny. Let me see if I can find the place where we left off there.
Mistakes when you serve, then you. Maybe like 3 minutes before. That was the case.
3
minutes after that. The one below. And you don't have a set partner. And every single in that's good. The division that I belong in.
So talk to me about how many games or matches did you play throughout the entire tournament?
Yeah. So the tournament that I did was called a round robin tournament. So that means that you don't have a set partner, and every game was 2 versus 2 throughout the tournament. And you don't have a set partner, and every single game you play is with a different partner. So there was the first game that I played. They had 4 of us from our division go, and we would play one game. I had the partner that I played with. We played against the other 2, and then after that game ends, we would kind of like rotate. So then I would play with somebody from the other team, and then we would play one more game after that, playing with the other person that we hadn't played with yet on our team. So you play in each round, you play 3 games, different partner each game, and pretty much the way that they figure out the rankings and the standings are you want to get the win, obviously, but then there is also a point differential that comes into play. So if you were to lose a game, the games went to 9. You only had to win by 1. So if you lost a game, you wanted to lose 9-8. That way you still had 8 points under your belt.
Okay.
The first half of the tournament, I was doing pretty decent. And so after the first 3 rounds, I stood a chance of being in the top 4 to make it into the finals. But I had a very bad round 5 that I didn't get any wins that round. So that made it to where there was no chance of advancing to the next round.
And when it comes to your partners, right? So are you assigned a number, and is there like a board that says partner 23 is with partner 69 or something like that? Like, how does that work?
Nobody has numbers assigned. They call out your name, and then when you go up there, they give you a piece of paper, and it just showed you and the 3 other people that they called. And it just, there was game 1, and it showed your name, and then somebody else's name. Game 2, your name, somebody else's name. So each game, it showed, like, you knew who you were playing with based on the piece of paper that you were given. And then after each game, you would write the score of your team, the score of the other team, and then somebody had to initial it and then turn it into the judges afterwards.
Do you feel like the judges that were calling it, whether it was inbounds or out of bounds on the line, do you think they did a pretty good job?
So actually, this tournament, there were only a couple people.
So you mean referee, Eddie? Is that?
Oh,
I mean, but
the pickleball judge.
yeah, that's so funny because I mean, this was 3 months before my first tournament experience ever. I think about that, right? Like that. Like
Right?
I was 3 months away from even playing my very first tournament, so I had no idea what to expect. And that's so. I mean, you can tell by the way I asked that question.
Yeah. Well, and then also like this tournament that I'm talking about, I've never done a tournament like that one since, where like every game you play with a different partner. Like it's a very unique thing. Have you ever experienced a tournament like that where it's considered a singles tournament, but you play with a partner, and it all depends on like how the results of how you did with your partner at the end. It's like it's hard, kind of hard to explain.
No,
Um,
I get what you're saying. It's just
yeah,
every round robin I've ever done has always been like you keep your same partner, you register with that partner, you stay with him the whole time.
right, and that's how it's been for me ever since then. Also, but it was interesting, and it was a very cool thing to do to start off with. And I think it's a great style of tournament if you don't have somebody that you play with regularly enough to partner with for a tournament. But nowadays, I know a good amount of people in the pickleball world to where I know like, okay, I play pretty good with this person. I want to play with this person in this tournament. So like that style of tournament totally isn't my preference anymore. And like if I don't have anything going on that weekend, maybe I would do it, but I would much rather play with the same partner throughout the
Yeah,
whole tournament than what happened in that situation.
that makes sense.
People that were watching, not every single game had a judge or a referee, whatever you want to call them. So it was up to each
There's
person
referee.
that were playing to just be honest. And we never had any problems. There was no objections to anything. Nobody argued about whether.
Did you get video of that tournament? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's
Those,
called like Webby's first pickleball
yeah.
tournament or something like that.
Okay.
A call was good or not. Now the one that I'm going to be doing in July, that one every single game has a dedicated referee. So
No, that wasn't true. Not was that true?
no,
I was gonna
definitely
say
not
that.
true.
Yeah.
That'll be my first experience with that type of scenario. So I'm very interested to see that. And I always thought it would be nice to have a referee watching, because sometimes I don't know if the ball was out or not. I'm focused on hitting the ball, and I don't see if the ball was out of bounds or not. So I know, like, whenever I play a game, there's a lot of times where I really don't know if the ball was out.
Man, my
And then I feel like
perspective
a
on
lot
it,
of these.
yeah, my perspective on that has totally changed. Now, I don't want line judges. I don't mind the referee calling kitchen because I have a couple times especially in the last tournament when Mark and I were playing together, men's doubles. There were twice when I asked the referee and he overturned because I knew the ball was in and the opponents called it out, going back and watching video, it was in. So I like when they're watching the kitchen, but I don't like it when line judges are calling line calls. I'd much rather individuals call it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I've been burned pretty much almost every tournament that I've videotaped. I've been burned on a call, whether I called it in or out or not, or the opponent called it in or out. I feel like every tournament I've recorded, there has been at least one major bad call that went in the favor of the opposing team. And in the worst one ever, the one that really chaps my ass, and the one that still burns to this day. It was one where the game-winning point, like the other team, we had gone back and forth like crazy. Um, we were playing to a game to 11. It was the third game 3 playing to 11, and the other team, I think at the time the score was 17-16, their serve, and like we should have gotten the ball back because they were serving on their second serve, and something happened to where I know for sure our ball was good. They called it out of bounds. The referee said they didn't see it, so the other team's call stood. And that's one that just it kills me. I know. I mean, that doesn't. I mean, in that case, I guess it doesn't matter that we had a referee or not because the referee said they didn't see the call. But it was the first time I ever got pissed off during a match because I was like, dude, that ball was good. That was a bad call you just made. Are you really going to end this game on a bad call? And it stuck with their bad call, and that ended our that caused us to get eliminated. They went on to a match that guaranteed that they were getting a bronze medal match. And like I've never been more heated during a match as I was at that point in time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Matches end up in like fist fights. How many fist fights did you get involved in?
At least 5 per game. There were so many fist fights. That's what pickleball is known for, is the fist fights. Yeah. But no, I'm just kidding. I've never seen any fighting other than if people arguing over whether a ball was out of bounds or not. That didn't happen during any of my games during the tournament, but I've definitely seen that, like even during casual play, where some people just are adamant that the ball was either out or in, no matter what the other people say.
Well, it sounds like it was a fun experience for you.
It was very fun. I am looking forward to the next tournament. Hopefully I get enough experience to be decent in there. The goal next time is to not be third from last place.
Yeah, well, I did want to give you a medal for being third from last place. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Thank you.
You weren't the worst. You weren't the second worst. You weren't the third worst. So that's good. You were better than 3 other people. So good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else you want to share about your pickleball tournament experience?
No, that's about it. Really, the only other thing I have to say about pickleball is I can't wait to play against you because we still have not played against each other. I challenged you quite a few months ago, and I feel like you've been avoiding me.
All right. Well, if you want to get like that, then let's talk about it. Because you live in a state where it's really cold and snowy and crappy. You can't play outdoors, and it's just not really an ideal environment. I personally live in a state where I have 4 courts that are 100 yards away from me, ready to play at any time. We don't have to worry about weather or any of those factors. So I really feel like it's on you that you haven't wanted to play.
I don't know about that, because we've got a lot of indoor locations here, and there's even a place that I'm pretty sure I told you about that we could reserve. You can...
Yeah, yes. That's the crappy place you're talking about.
Right. You can rent. The place that we can reserve was the place that was a friggin' racquetball court that they just threw up a pickleball net in, and it was absolutely horrible. So yeah, I didn't know what I was talking about at that point in time. But I do love the fact that right away on the first podcast we ever did, we kind of got the ball rolling on the whole Eddie versus Webby saga.
That was your first mistake you ever made. Webby was challenging me from the very beginning.
Man, it just sucks because like every match, it was close. Every match has been close. I just happened to be just a little bit on the wrong side of the victory factor.
A little bit, lot of bit, yeah, whatever.
The courts for pickleball.
We're splitting hairs here, you know.
Yeah, a weak excuse. I mean, yes, obviously where you are is better for outdoor play, but it doesn't have to be outdoors. It could be indoors.
It could be indoors. I honestly have never played indoors, though. I don't know if it's different or...
Yeah, it is different. And yes, playing indoors sucks.
Not, but I'd be willing to do it.
So I learned how to play outdoors. I haven't played outdoors since I actually learned how to play decently. So everybody that I talk to says they love playing outdoors a lot more than indoors. I've actually really been liking indoor play because you don't have to deal with the elements. There have been times where the sun was excruciatingly hot, or like if you play on one side of the court, it's in your eyes the whole time. And there's been times where we played and we didn't want to stop playing, but the sun went down and there weren't lights in the outdoor courts we were at, so we had to stop playing. So
you still sing that same tune 2 years later about outdoor play. It's so hot, the sun. You still feel that way?
Yeah, if it's over 80 degrees, that's way too hot to play pickleball. Way too hot. If it's a sunny over 80 degree day, no. Don't do it. I've been liking the indoor experience, but when the weather conditions are good, I could see outdoor being preferable.
Well, we will play. We promised all of our viewers that we would play against each other. I hope that we get an opportunity to play with each other before we get to play against each other as well. So that way we can, learn each other's strengths and weaknesses and prey on them.
Yes. I think we could work that out. I'm getting some friends in the pickleball world. I'm sure we could find a couple to play with and against us.
How many friends did you have at that point in the pickleball world, would you say?
I probably literally had a couple friends in the pickleball world at that point in time. Like, at that point in time, I struggled so damn hard to find people to play with. Like, nowadays, I can easily find a group to probably get like an 8 or even a 10-some going, but like at that point in time I was lucky to get 4 people to play in a group. So yeah, I was definitely talking out of my ass back then.
Here's what blows my mind about this. There are pros now who are making it into the top 10 of every tournament that weren't even playing pickleball when our first podcast was released 2 years ago. Think about that. They weren't even playing yet.
Yeah, that is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I'm getting a call from San Francisco. Who's calling me from? Probably nobody. Let's play.
Thank you for sharing that, Webby. That was a good conversation around the tournament. I'm very curious because I've never been to one or seen one, and I definitely am looking forward to my first one.
Yeah, and hopefully your first one could be the one in July in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The one that I'll be at.
Grand Rapids.
At the moment, I have no partner set, so I'm going to end up with a random person if you don't join.
A rando.
So just throwing that out there.
All right, well, I'll let you know. I'll let you know for sure. Well, thank you guys all for sticking around if you've stuck around this far.
So that's what I love. Like if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have gotten into pickleball, but I feel like if it wasn't for me, the Beer City Open wouldn't have happened for us. So like, it's just the team of Eddie and Webby, just, it was a perfect combination. The stars aligned, and here we are 2 years later. Yeah, 2 years later. And almost exactly 2 years later, 2 years ago, yesterday exactly, is when this podcast happened. And it's just, it's amazing how much has changed since that point in time.
I totally agree.
We might be launching this as an official audio or actual audio video podcast on iTunes. There's just one thing we have to do, and that's figure out how to actually do it. I don't know, Webby, do you know how to do it?
Don't you just click the podcast button and then it gets uploaded to the podcast?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll...
You just do the upload podcast button to the podcast.com, isn't it? Or whatever.
Yeah,
or is it podcast.org?
I think it's uploadpodcast.org. But who knows? We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
And honestly, like, it really was a pain in the butt to figure all this stuff out. I can't believe in 2 years how much stuff we've learned.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. Like, I had no idea what it took to do a podcast at this point. Like, at this point in time, like, this was definitely your baby. Like, the whole podcast thing was your idea. I literally had no idea how to get what we did out there into podcast form for the audio podcast type stuff. So yeah, it's just like it sounded like I was kidding. I really had no idea what I was talking about as far as getting the podcast out there.
I didn't know that either. I just knew we would record it, we would edit it, and we'd figure it out. It's one step at a time, right?
Yep. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this will be the last one. Maybe nobody will watch this, and this will be the last one.
Yeah, maybe we'll fall flat on our face, and this is just awful content, and nobody cares, and we'll just continue with our normal lives.
Pretty much was.
So
but we kept going.
Any products that we talked about today, we'll be throwing links to in the description below, so you can go ahead and check them out. We definitely want to hear your guys' feedback, right? You're part of the Eddie and Webby family, whether you like it or not. We're a little bit dysfunctional, but we want to hear your comments, right? If there's a particular beer you want to talk about, maybe a piece of technology, or maybe you just want to tell us how much you love us or hate us, or just give us any feedback, throw it in the comments below. We would absolutely love to hear from you guys. Yep.
Yeah, I would love to hear from the. I like how we didn't even mention pickleball. We didn't even say like, if you want to talk about pickleball, let us know.
Yeah.
Like we were totally positive that the beer and technology is what was going to drive this podcast. Nobody even knew what pickleball was at the time, so we're not even going to tell people to leave us comments about pickleball.
We were wrong. We were dead wrong.
Yeah, from the viewers.
And you
And
can
I'm
follow us
ashamed.
on Instagrams, what is it? Instagrams?
Instantgrams.
Instantgrams.com. And so go to www.instantgrams.com or Twitter, the tweeters.com. You can go there. We're both under Eddie and Webby for both Instagram and Twitter. So go ahead and follow us there as well. Anything to say, Webby, before we close this down?
Just got to say thanks to all of you that are still watching. There might be one or two of you out there still that haven't X'd out of the video. I'll be very, very, very surprised if there's more than one person out there still, but thank you.
Yeah.
You know who you are. Thank you very much. We love you.
Thank you to that
We
one
love you.
person. Awesome. All right, guys, that's it. I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
See ya.
So
Wow.
there it is, the very first ever Eddie and Webby podcast.
It's crazy, man. I love our new theme song, but I liked that. Like that was our jam for 23 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it too. Like it definitely was not bad. I'm still feeling it to this day. Like that was not bad.
That's right. Wow, that was a blast from the past, man. To think
Yeah, it was.
63 episodes later, how much has changed. It's crazy.
Yeah. And we did a lot of episodes before we even had a guest for the first time. Like that was crazy too. Like, did we really think people cared about just what you and I were talking about?
Yeah. I don't know. But that's the thing. I mean, honestly, like, I don't want to get preachy. I don't want to be in a soapbox here, but I'm going to. And my message is, if anybody's out there still listening, just start. Just do something and start, and know that it's going to suck when you start. And 64 episodes later, it might still suck, but it's going to suck a little bit less every single time. And
Right?
if you love it and it's fun, just do it and see what happens. And we kind of stuck with it. And I guarantee 95% of all people out there would have given up long before episode 64 if they would have had the results that we did. But we stuck with it, and we're still having fun, and we're still bringing content, and I'm having a blast.
Oh, for sure. And tonight, the episode with Irina, like that was probably the most fun I've had yet doing this podcast. And I feel like every single episode it becomes my favorite episode because it's just each one is so much fun. It's crazy. I love it. So I definitely got to thank you because as we saw during that episode, like I was vocal about how I thought it was a horrible idea. I did not think that us doing a podcast would ever lead to anything. But after that first episode, I got hooked and I loved it. And I feel like it's gotten better with every single episode after that. And I feel like it's just going to keep getting better the more we do it.
That's right. That was a lot of fun. Webby, thank you for taking a trip down memory lane together.
Yeah, that was fun.
Is there anything else you want to talk about here today? Because it is, I mean, there's my bedtime. There's past my bedtime. There's way past my bedtime. And then there's now. Like we've
Right,
scaled.
right.
We've taken a massive leap. We've been streaming for over 4 hours now.
Wow. That's crazy. I appreciate your how much you are. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now, but I just appreciate
happening?
I appreciate how late you've stayed up past your bedtime. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, you enjoy it tomorrow when you don't have to work, and I do. And I also got to prep for the Easter Bowl live stream. That's tomorrow night and Saturday night, and I still have a lot of work to go into that. So it's gonna be fun though. Good times.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an awesome event. And anybody that's still tuning in, make sure you tune into the Easter Bowl. It's going to be incredible. And I definitely can't wait. That's for sure.
Well, good. We'll definitely stay tuned to that. You can check it out on Simone Jargine Pickleball on Facebook and YouTube. It's going to be an awesome remote virtual tournament where everybody's going to be at their houses or wherever they're quarantining, and there's going to be some fun skill challenges that Simone's going to be putting on. It's going to be good competition. All money's going to go to charity to benefit the Jigsaw COVID-19 Relief Fund. There's going to be some prizes you can win, including a couple Eddie and Webby Pickleball for Life hoodies. Hey-o!
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
So definitely check that out. And that's it. I'm spent. I got nothing left in me, man. I'm drained.
Yeah, this has been a very long night, a very fun night, a historic night for us. A lot of firsts, including us watching our first ever podcast here on Dinking Around.
That's right. If you guys like that and you want us to go back and watch some of our older videos, please let us know, because I thought it was fun. I think it's hilarious to make fun of ourselves. So if you like it, let us know. We will definitely do that again. And on that note, I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
So yeah.